It's a week since the late former Prime Minister Raila Odinga has been laid to rest at his Bondo home in the county of Siaya, in a fitting salute accorded to the former Prime Minister. Tonight we'll be giving you some of the tributes that are still in Bondo and the long list of people who are still paying tribute to the former Prime Minister, visiting his gravesite in Bondo at the Kango Kaja Ramogi. We have that and much more on the broadcast this evening. Olive is away, Jeff is away, I am here, and here are the highlights tonight. From a dowry ceremony to planning a funeral, 6 members of a family die after their vehicle plunged into Kiama River in Thika, bringing death toll on road to 12 in 2 days.
We must fight drugs, we must fight illicit alcohol, we must fight all kinds of vices that are destroying the lives of our people. Training the drug owners. Kenya joins international partners in tracking the wider network behind the largest single drug haul intercepted in Mombasa. Putting final touches. Millions of grade 9 and grade 6 pupils engage in final preparations ahead of sitting national examinations starting Monday. Murdered and body mutilated. Body of missing 22-year-old University of Nairobi student Jenna Taylor found at City Mortuary. And Yula Nzale is our sign language interpreter. A family in Gatanga, Murang'a County, has been left in shock and grief after their dowry celebration ceremony suddenly turned into funeral preparations. This after 6 members of the family perished on Saturday night after the vehicle they were traveling in plunged into River Kiama. The family was returning home from a dowry ceremony in Kiambu County when tragedy struck, as Mary Mwoke details in the following report, which also adds to the grim 24 hours on Kenyan roads, with 6 other Kenyans killed earlier in Gilgil.
Ndia village in Gatanga constituency is in mourning after 6 members of the same family died when their 14-seater matatu plunged into River Kiama. The family of 13 was returning from a dowry payment ceremony in Kiambu when their vehicle lost control along the Chomo Kahunyo road.
Tukawa tukiwa nusu, hapo ndio tulikuta ndio gari ilipotea, nikaenda kushika ikakataa, nikaomba Mungu, kaambia Mungu usikubali. Sasa kusema namna hiyo, hawa wakaanza kupiga duru, wote wakapiga duru. Tukifika huko nisikia pa, nikajisikia mimi nikiwa chini, nikiwa majini, kichwa ya gari kaingia kwa maji.
6 passengers were killed instantly in the late evening accident on Saturday. The survivors said the vehicle lost control and plunged into the river, cutting short what should have been a joyous occasion. Survivors were rushed to Murang'a Level 5 Hospital.
6 kati ya waliokuwa wameaga dunia, ikiwemo babangu mzazi na kuna wengine wamepata majeraha.
Ipata sisi kwa hiyo hospitali ni wagonjwa 6. Tukawahudumia vizuri, walipigwa picha, wakafanywa investigations zenye zilikuwa zinahitajika, wakahudumiwa vizuri na wako sawa. Mmoja tu ndiye anaonekana kuna injuries serious na atalazwa hospitali.
Among those nursing injuries is Julius Waroingi, a survivor who says the accident occurred just a few kilometers from their destination.
Tulikuwa tunatoka Kiambu na tulikuwa tumekaribia kufika nyumbani. Dereva akasema gari imekosa breki na yeye akakosa kudhibiti ile gari. Ilikuwa masaa ya usiku, gari ikatutumbukiza kwa mto.
Residents are blaming poor road infrastructure for the tragedy, calling for urgent safety improvements.
Imetuagusha sisi wote kwa mto, familia mzima ya watu 13 walikuwa kwa hiyo gari. Watu wa serikali watuangalilie hiyo barabara, hiyo daraja ni mbaya. Ni haina mabati ya kando na kando, Kwa hivyo inaweza kosa ajali mingi sana.
The tragedy comes just hours after another deadly crash on the Nairobi-Nakuru highway claimed 6 lives at Soisambu in Gilgil when a saloon car collided head-on with a bus. The 2 accidents bring to 12 the number of lives lost on Kenyan roads within just 24 hours. A stark reminder of the country's mountain road carnage. Mary Mwoki, Citizen TV.
Interior CS Kipchumba Murkomen has announced that the state will destroy narcotics worth 8.2 billion shillings, which was seized in a multi-agency operation at the Kenyan coast. Murkomen, who credited the seizure to intensified operations to fight drug trafficking along the Kenyan coastline, says security agencies are also following more people who could be involved in the illicit business. Meanwhile, investigations have revealed that the 6 suspects who are on the boat were using a satellite phone to communicate with unknown persons linked to the consignment. Here is Gatete Njoroge.
A day after a consignment of methamphetamine with an estimated street value of 8.2 billion shillings was seized from a boat in Indian Ocean and detained in Mombasa, Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen has hinted to a plan by government to destroy the synthetic drug found in 769 packages concealed in various compartments of the vessel.
Mumeona kwamba tumeshika madawa ya kulevya kutoka high seas ambao Iranians walikuwa wanatembeza huko karibu na maji yetu ya up to 10 billion shillings, worth 10 billion shillings. Na unaona hao wanapelekwa kotini na hivi karibuni utaona tukidestroy those madawa ya kulevya publicly.
Murkomen says the destruction is meant to safeguard Kenyans and send a strong message to international drug traffickers using the region as a smuggling route.
We have resolved as a nation that we must fight drugs, we must fight illicit alcohol, we must fight all kind of vices that are destroying the lives of our people.
A multi-agency team probing the case are analyzing a satellite phone the 6 suspects were using to communicate with the suspected baron in Iran and who was giving instructions. Detectives have also confiscated their phones, which are being analyzed to trace communications, even as Kenya joins international partners to trace and disrupt wider criminal network associated with the seizure. Another line of focus for investigators is the GPS which the suspects were using to access the high seas, about 630 kilometers east of Mombasa, where they were arrested by Kenya Navy. The operation, which involved Seychelles and Madagascar, was conducted in an area used for drug exchange by drug traffickers.
The vessel you see behind us has been under the radar of the international community, being suspected of carrying out illicit, particularly narcotics activities within the Western Indian Ocean.
Sources close to investigations have told Citizen TV the drugs were packaged differently to enable the traffickers separate those to be shipped to Europe, Africa and Asia. The 6 Iranian nationals, Jassim Dazeda, Nadim Jadgal, Imran Baloch, Hassan Baloch, Rahim Bakshi and Imtiaz Daryoi, who are in police custody, are expected in court on Monday. Police are expected to seek for more days to detain them as they continue with the probe. Gatete Njoroge, Citizen TV.
Millions of learners in grade 9 and grade 6 will start their national assessment tomorrow. The government, through the Ministries of Education and Interior, has assured all stakeholders that preparations and logistics for the administration of the assessment have been completed. This will be the first Kenya Junior School Education Assessment that will be undertaken under the competency-based curriculum, as Brenda Wanga tells us in the following report.
As the clock ticks towards a new day, the learners and candidates at the Kari Primary School in Kisii are busy at work. The most populous school in the county will present nearly 300 learners for the KJSEA and KPSEA assessment. The mood ahead of Monday's first paper is optimistic.
our teachers have been there. We have been doing a lot of revision, and as learners on our own, we have been learning, and I would say that we are prepared and ready for the exam.
Otherwise, we are very well prepared, and we want to pray that God gives us the results because we've really worked hard.
Among those who will be in the exam room at this school from Monday is Caleb Nyabuto. Despite his paralysis, he is ready for the assessment. He suffered spinal cord injuries when he fell off a tree while playing some years back, but that hasn't stopped him from pursuing an education and is now poised for the next stage of his journey.
Nimejiandaa nayo. Nimenunua vitu vya kufanya exam. Nimekuwa nikirevise huku nyumbani.
He is amongst the 2.4 million learners in primary and junior schools across the country who will be taking the assessment. This is also the first time for the junior school students to be assessed for placement in senior schools.
Ministry of Interior is on standby to support providing security support, providing also logistical support. Our chiefs, assistant chiefs, our ACCs, our DCCs, our county commissioners, regional commissioners are working tirelessly to ensure that the exams are done in a peaceful environment.
Previously, under the 844 system, pupils undertook the KCPE exams in Class 8 before proceeding to Form 1. The CBC system sees learners join senior school in grade 10. The structure of the assessment also differs from the KCPE one, which was purely multiple choice questions, save for the languages.
A notable change is that this year, in the KJSEA, there will be structured questions and there will be objective questions. So at least we know how to do the packaging, how we have prepared the kids on even the shading. That previously we used to shade, the kids used to shade by just having a stroke, but this time they'll be doing a full shade in the entire number that is in the OMR.
However, there is no that pressure like what we used to see in 844.
The primary and junior school assessment period will last 6 days, with the candidates sitting 2 papers every day in the morning. The KJSEA candidates will be tested in 12 learning areas, while the KPSEA candidates will be tested in 5 learning areas for 3 days. The outcome of the assessment for the KJSEA learners will determine what school and career path they will be placed in to study. Brenda Wanga, Citizen TV.
And best wishes and all the very best from the Royal Media Services to the learners who will be starting the national assessment tomorrow on Monday. A special prayer service was this afternoon held at the Bondo home of the late former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, a week since a befitting state funeral was accorded to him. And part of the delegations who continued to pay tribute to the former Prime Minister were Arsenal fans Kenya, as leaders from across the political divide also dedicated time to remember the former Premier, who they described as a Democrat with unwavering conviction.
To their lifelong colleague and fellow Arsenal supporter, they thronged Kang'o ka Jaramogi in honor of Raila Odinga, who, like them, devoted his life for the Gunners and who sit pretty atop of the English Premier League. The fans, drawn from 8 branches across Kenya, paid tribute to the former Prime Minister, visiting his gravesite. In a moving tribute, remembered his dedication to Arsenal.
It is by no mistake that if the home now is painted red, it is in honor of Baba. And all of us here are singing the songs that Baba used to sing for the success of our team. I'm happy to say that while Baba is away, every Kenyan known, every fan in the world knows that we've had 2 successful games. One against Fulham and the other one against Atletico Madrid. It was successful. Gunners hoye!
Me as an Arsenal fan, I love Raila because hakuacha Arsenal hata kama tunasafa. Alikuwa hapo anasema timu ni moja. That's why we are here saying Joey, rest in peace Raila Amolo Odinga.
And afterwards visited Odinga's family home at Opoda Farm to the warm reception of the family. A week since his burial, the political leadership continues to mourn Raila, who they labeled as a steadfast statesman, whose democratic credentials remain unmatched. The family of the late Premier and the country remains in mourning period following his death in India, kicking off a period of many unknowns, including his party ODM.
Like Rashid Abdallah, Jamila Mohammed, Linus Kaikai and I, the late former Prime Minister was also an ardent Arsenal fan. May his soul continue to rest in eternal peace. They are very much at the top of the table at the moment. Still on the late former Prime Minister, Raila Odinga's political journey was well documented through pictures and videos which were shared to the world. From the streets where he fought off tear gas canisters, water cannons and bullets, to state and international events across the Kenyan borders where he shared platforms with heads of states, Odinga's engagements were making headlines. A once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, but also a risky affair for the men and women who dedicated their lives to covering Kenya and Africa's political giant. Our reporter Gatete Njoroge spoke to Evans Ouma, who worked as Raila Odinga's official photographer between 2015 and 2018.
From what I can remember, Jacom was a very welcoming person. He was a very generous human being. He was a very in touch with the people. And so this, to me, this is what I had in mind when now the campaigns came. I wanted to show Jacom from the people's perspective, in that Jacom was a man of the people. Whenever I'd go for campaigns with Jacom, I would seek to go and shoot from the people's perspective and how his presence made people feel. So to me, that was my assignment with Jacom. Whenever these people that he sponsored would come back to his office and say, "Oh, Jacom, I achieved this, I achieved this, I achieved this," and this would make Jacom so happy. He would tell me that whenever he's gifting someone money or anything like that, he wouldn't want pictures. He was someone who did things from the very heart. He didn't do it for show. 2017 campaigns would go down as one of the most electric campaigns I had ever covered. Photographing Jacom as president, yes. That was the dream. We did a photo shoot, like a presidential portrait shoot with Winnie at Jacom's office at Capitol Hill. We were prepared, you know. Like this was the picture that was gonna be shown now, hung around in businesses and government offices. Seeing him after the nullification of the election, I'd never seen him that happy. You know, Jacom was fist pumping in the air, he was laughing, he was hugging everyone, and he said, you know, democracy has finally won. He was very excited about that. His homecoming from the UK, that was the most brutal shoot I've ever been to, like I've ever covered. The police were relentless with the tear gas and the water cannon. He was a very, very brave man. Because whenever we'd call out for protest, and the police would barricade everywhere, like you cannot pass, we would go. Like you'd realize that it doesn't bother him. He doesn't fear. Jacom is very comfortable while flying. Like even the turbulences doesn't bother him. The swearing in, we never thought it would happen, or even if it happened, we never thought it would be that significant. We were fearing that he would get arrested or he would be, you know, jailed or something like that, charged with treason and all that. And I think after that there was a lull. There was a lull at some point. Anyway, fast forward to 2 months later, we have his director of communication sends me a text and tells me, "You need to be at the office at 7 tomorrow. We're going somewhere, but do not tell anyone." Back then, I had no idea where Uhuru's office was. I didn't know it was around the house because I had never covered anything presidential. So we drive down and we arrive at this office. They never allowed anyone to take pictures because I think they kept it a secret for a reason, because if the public knew, there would be like a mini rally outside. I think it was a relief at the office. It was like we all breathed a sigh of, you know. I think I left like 3-4 months after the handshake. They still call me for assignments every now and then. Like when he went to see President Kiir, we went with him to Juba. For us, people who worked with Jacom and shared so much, it's one of those things you wish you'd wake up from, like a bad dream you'd wake up from. I went to his grave and I took a picture, and the writings are Raila Odinga, and it's written in past tense.
Sad to say I'm on my way, won't be back for many a days. My head is down, my head is turning around. I had to love a little girl in Kingston town.
Kenya Kwanza leaders have continued their defense of the Computer Misuse and Cybercrime Act, even as the High Court stopped the implementation of some sections of the Act, which has stirred controversies since it was assented by President William Ruto. Speaking in Malava in Kakamega County, the leaders said the Act is meant to enforce discipline and morality in social media spaces and other platforms, as Melita Oletenges now tells us in the following report.
The Computer Misuse and Cybercrimes Act, assented by President William Ruto on the 15th of October this month, has become the latest tug of war in the political arena. The opposition claiming it is a targeted scheme to silence public dissent against the government, while those in government insist it is designed to enforce discipline and morality in social media and online spaces.
Itakuwa aibu kubwa kuona ya kwamba katika mitandao ya kijamii watoto wanaonyesha watu wakiwa uchi, watu wakifanya mambo machafu, watu wakivuta bangi.
Adults are accessing pornographic sites. They leave their gadgets, their children access the same pornographic sites, and we are destroying the fabric of our country through access to pornographic sites.
Speaking at Isanjiro Catholic Church in Malava during a church service, the leaders called on Kenyans to ignore those opposed to the act, accusing them of misinformation and disinformation, and that the law is necessary to curb online abuse and those sharing.
And when you see that bill outlawing or saying that the commission that is set out in that bill can pull down a website, it is those websites that are spreading pornographic content that can be pulled down. If you have a business website, if you have a website to educate Kenyans, nobody will pull it down.
They rallied support for Malava constituency UDA aspirant David Ndakwa, while calling on the Mulembe Nation to position itself to succeed President William Ruto.
Mnaposhika mkono William Ruto aende tamu ya pili kama jirani, tunaomba na nyinyi mtafute majirani akiwemo Ichung'wa ili uongozi uje magharibi. Na uongozi haiwezi kuja magharibi, uongozi itatokea hapa Malava, ikuja hapa Western, ndio Wetangula na viongozi wa hapa wakalie kiti ya enzi.
Tuko na kijana yetu hapa, Mheshimiwa Weta. Mwaka wa 2032 baada ya kipindi cha William Samuel Ruto, tunataka urais uje hapa Western.
As the Malava constituency race gains momentum, Kakamega Senator Boni Halwale has defied his own party by endorsing Democratic Action Party Kenya candidate Seth Panyako over UDA's David Ndakwa, a move that has deepened rifts within the ruling coalition and sparked outrage among Ruto's allies. Melita Oletenges, Citizen TV.
A badly mutilated body believed to be that of a missing University of Nairobi student, Jen Atila, has been discovered at the city mortuary in Nairobi. The shocking discovery was made by Atila's family, which now wants a DNA test to authenticate the identity. Police have also arrested a suspect over her disappearance, as Franklin Wala now tells us in the following report.
As part of continued efforts to trace the whereabouts of Jen Atila, a University of Nairobi student who has been missing for 3 weeks, Jen's family was on Sunday at the city mortuary on a fact-finding mission. The family was taken in and shown a badly mutilated body believed to be that of their missing kin. The body was brought to the morgue on October 17th by police from Kikuyu Police Station.
So the body must have been recovered by police on 17th. And that area was the same proximity within which the crime was committed.
It had been recovered while decomposing at Kefri Forest in Kikuyu.
The view of the body is such that very little flesh remains on the body. Part of the left leg is badly done, and the skull is separate from the body. And the skull also bears evidence of violence.
After close analysis of the body and evidence recovered from the crime scene, Jen's family believes this could be their missing child. However, due to the state in which the body was in, the family is appealing for detectives to conduct a DNA test to clear their doubts.
But the only thing we would ask the government and the DCI Kikuyu to continue doing is to initiate a DNA. Maybe. That's the only one that would put us into the light as if this is the body we are following up, or dismiss it and continue following the body of an individual that is still missing.
Jen Atila was reported missing on 3rd October, moments after she went to visit her boyfriend, who stayed meters away from UON Kikuyu campus. Her friends say that was the last time she was seen. Neighbors who declined to appear on camera say Jen was last seen at her boyfriend's house, where the two allegedly had a serious argument before she vanished. The boyfriend moved out and switched off his phones. Jen was a second-year student at UON Kikuyu campus pursuing a degree in education. Detectives at Kikuyu Police Station arrested one Nicholas Mutua, who is in custody as a prime suspect. The suspect is expected in court on Monday. Franklin Wala, Citizen TV.
Sunday Live takes a break here on the broadcast. When we come back, we have plenty to run you through, including this week's Citizen Planet. Stay tuned for that. Turning the tide for women fisher folk. We tell you how more women are going into fishing to lessen reliance on exploitative men folk. You're watching Sunday Live, and thanks for staying with us. Thousands of young TikTokers from across the country converged at Jokere Showground in Embu County, carrying miniature Kenyan flags and banners to support or in support of Mama Gift, a single mother from Gadoge who's inspiring care for her son. Baby Gift, who faces multiple health challenges, has touched hearts online. This is the second time young Kenyans have united to help a fellow citizen, showing that the youth are now organizing and acting on their own, as Willie Lusige now reports.
Roads leading to Gathonge were jam-packed the entire Sunday as Gen Z from across the country converged at the showground. The quiet village of Mariari Mairi came alive with motorbikes, vuvuzelas and chants as the crowd turned the charity drive into a festival of hope. Thousands came together to support Mama Gift, whose story of strength and motherhood has inspired many online.
Na leo Kenya mzima iko hapa na tuko na watu kutoka kaunti nyingi sana ambao wamekuja ili tushikane pamoja sisi kama mavijana.
Mama Gift has been caring for her infant son, Baby Gift, who faces cerebral palsy, chronic asthma, and cardiovascular complications. Despite these challenges, her faith and openness has moved young people across Kenya, sparking empathy and collective action. During the event, participants donated household essentials, medical supplies, and financial support for Mama Gift and her baby. The entire event was streamed live on social media, raising awareness and rallying more support for the family. The youth pledged to remain united, helping where they can, and to speak with one voice even on political matters.
Hata ikifika upande wa uongozi, ikifika ni upande wa kuchukua kura, pia wao wajitokeze ili pia wakaweze kutransform, sio tu upande tu wa kusaidia upande wa charity, bali hata pia upande wa uongozi.
Mavijana hii ni second alliance na wasicheze. Ukiangalia umati hakuna posta au wasema wenye mobilize wenyewe.
Show of Unity highlights a growing social movement among Kenya's digital creators, coming just weeks after uniting to transform the life of Kaluma Boy, a young content creator from Modhaya who went viral for selflessly caring for his ailing father. Willie Lusige, Citizen TV.
The dwindling stocks of fish in Lake Victoria has forced women in Kisumu County to defy gender stereotypes and venture into wild fishing catching methods. Laura Otieno now reports on the fisherwomen of Lake Victoria.
At 9 a.m. Sunday, 50-year-old Pamela Otieno leads a team of women into the lake. For the last decade, these women from Kagwel Beach in Seme have been braving the waves of Lake Victoria in search for their mainstay. Formerly fishmongers, the urge to grow their business drove them into the waters.
Naenda napata pesa kidogo, kawachana na maneno ya soko, nikaingia kuvua. Vile niliingia kuvua sasa napata na watoto wangu walienda shule. Shughuli yangu yote inafanyikana vizuri.
As the paddles beat against the waves, the intensity of the exercise is revealed. The women say the skill of trolling, known in the local dialect as Yoyorimba, can only be perfected by time and a good diet.
Protein si nyingi, carbohydrate, mnajua nyoyo. Ndio tunatumia sana kwa sababu hiyo ndio tunaweza kupata hapa. Ukichukua hata chapati, ukienda uwezi unaweza hata kuanguka chini. Na kama unavuta hiyo kitu kila siku, pia unakuwa strong kwa sababu unafanya exercise. Uwezi kuzeeka. Ndio maana mimi strong kama hivi. Mimi ni almost 50 something years.
The catch, however, is often fluctuating. Human-wildlife conflict intensifying by the day.
Tukenda huku baharini, saa zingine tunapata hipo, ongadonwa nyavu wane. Kama imesangada hiyo nyavu yetu, samaki yongeke sabara hiyo nyavu. Samaki sasa hakuna.
Wangetusaidia hata na mkopo, hata wangetuletea cages ili tupate uvuvi wa karibu. Kwa sababu keji tukiwa nayo tunaweza kuilinda hapa karibu.
Despite the cultural barriers against women venturing into wild catch fishing, the community here has embraced change. Men not only help to steer the vessels during the high wave season, but also protect the women from drug-induced gender-based violence, often perpetrated by the younger men.
Mtu kama mimi naweza kataza vijana usikule pombe. Usipokula pombe utaingia kwa boti yangu. Jaribu kesho.
As the waves crash against the fragile wooden boats, the women cast the nets wide. This is not just a mainstay, but a fishing expedition of hope. Hope that tomorrow's catch will bring them closer to a better life. Laura Otieno, Citizen TV.
Coming up, pastoral communities in Samburu County defy climate chaos through rotational. Welcome back. In the expansive arid Samburu County, where scorching droughts have long decimated livestock and pushed wildlife to the brink, pastoralists are turning to a remarkable solution. Through innovative hard bunching and rotational grazing, they are zoning their vast pastures to allow the land to recover, preventing overgrazing, restoring forests, and using cow dung from communal sheds to heal eroded gullies and bind barren soil. But these efforts are not just about saving herds from famine. They are also reviving habitats for the endangered species like the Dibarazas monkey, the elusive blue-faced wonder found only in Samburu County. Our reporter Susan Dunda has more on this week's edition of Citizen Planet.
Nestled in northern Kenya, Samburu County unfolds a vast, unforgiving tapestry of arid beauty. marked by crumbling infrastructure like bone-rattling corrugated roads, unforgiving dust and brutal droughts. Every sunset here casts a shadow of scarcity over residents who depend entirely on livestock rearing. I've chased tales across these dusty plains as a journalist, but none felt as raw and elemental as this one in Samburu. Deep in the Matthews Range hills of Nkari, Narok, are the DeBrazos monkeys. My mission here was not just to see them, but uncover the secret behind their existence against the effect of climate change. This endangered species endures not by chance, but through the bold ingenuity of the community, who shifted their manyatas and embraced rotational grazing as a shield for both wildlife and their way of life.
So hata sisi kama community tulianza kupangia nyasi vile tuna grace wanyama hizo wakati ya jioni, wakati ya kiangazi. Batoe ametusaidia sana 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 sana. Kwa sababu hata ukiona wanyama wetu hatuendi mahali ya fita, hatuendi kuingia ile msitu ya ile forest kabisa ya juu.
Findings from researchers at the Kenya Institute of Primate Research, KIPRE, on the plight of endangered DeBrazos monkey awakened the community. They relocated to other places to create room for the monkeys and the fragile forests they call home.
Kila mahali hapa kuna manyata. Lakini wakati tuliona hizi DeBrazos monkey wako na faida, tulijaribu kama wasee wa hii kijiji. Tuliamsha kila mtu sisi twende huko chini sisi wote, alafu tupatie hapa nafasi wawe tu ya kulinda wanyama. Unajua sisi sio DeBrazos peke yake ndio tuko nao, tuko na ndovu, tuko na leopards, aina mingi ya wanyama.
As Lerinkat reveals, their retreat has unleashed immense benefits. Nature is giving back.
Forest ni nyumba ama ni manyata ya wanyama ya pori. Hata sisi wanadamu tunapata vitu mingi kwa hii forest. Kuna herbs tunakunya, tunapata nyasi, tunapata vikingi ya kujenga. So kuna manufaa mingi sana kwa hii forest.
John Lerinkat, a vibrant young steward of the DeBrazos monkeys, calls on his generation to embrace conservation.
Wetu hawananga shida hapa ndani juu ya hiyo tukutunza mazingira. Na hata sisi kama vijana wao tumepata ajira kutokana na hiyo mazingira yetu hapa ni nzuri. Tumepata ajira kutoka kwa wanyama.
The cattle hooves break up hardened soil. Their manure blankets the soil, trapping moisture from the rains. And when the rain nears, herders scatter grass seeds, watching gullies heal and eroded lands bloom again into pasture.
Sisi ng'ombe ambayo tunaweka rotational grazing ni kujaribu kutumia wafugaji ambaye kutumia ng'ombe sao ama maji sao sana wanyama kujaribu pia kutengeneza ardhi. Ndio kama paidi kama sasa ambaye inaitwa bare ground ama paidi ambaye haina ambaye yuko udongo nyekundu sana tunatumia ng'ombe kujaribu pia ku reduce hizo bare ground. Ndio mvua ikinyesha nyasi baadaye ukikuja hapa utapata nyasi mingi na pia mamiti ile mzuri itakuwa inamea hapa.
Beyond the quiet ecological benefits, this practice has forged an unbreakable bond among the communities in Samburu.
Tunakuja pamoja kama community. Ingine kuna hii miti inaitwa Acacia revisions. Tunakata inakuwa fence. Kuna hii background pamoja na gullies. Tunaziba. Kwa sababu sasa hivi vile mnaona sasa hii boma kuna hii manyua. Hii manyua inafanya baadaye ni nyasi.
And as the earth heals, so does the community's future. unlocked by the invisible wealth of carbon credits, global funds that reward their stewardship and fuel dreams of progress among the pastoralist communities.
Pesa carbon imesaidia community sana kujaribu kuweka ufukaji mzuri na pia kujaribu kuhakikisha kwamba tuna produce ama tunasaa carbon mingi, ambaye carbon ile ambaye ya mbaya inaingisha ndani ya mchanga. Na radhi mebai tukiwa community ine tumepata milioni 50 kwa mwaka 2025.
Namati Kenya, a non-governmental organization, has empowered this transformation through helping the communities in northern Kenya secure communal lands under Kenya's Constitution and the Community Land Act, empowering herders to plan their land.
Across the focus counties, we have supported about 42 communities to be able to secure their tenure rights. Of these 42, 16 have community land titles. And by having community titles, their lands are more secure. They are in a better place to be able to plan their land, to engage with investors. And they are not vulnerable to displacement, which is a case that happens for communities that do not have their title deeds. Now, of these communities, many have been able to engage with external investors for different development projects. These include ecotourism, and recently a number of those communities are part of carbon projects that are centered around, reducing their emissions.
Rotational grazing in Samburu is not just conservation, it is defiance. Saving endangered monkeys, curbing climate change by fortifying soils, quenching droughts, and sequestering carbon on a scale that echoes globally.
That story was produced by Susan and was voiced by Laura Otieno. Kenyans from across the country today gathered at Adams Mosque to mark the Gaza humanitarian anniversary, a solemn reflection on the suffering and resilience of families affected by the Israeli assault on Gaza. According to NAMLEF chairperson Sheikh Abdullahi Abdi, the humanitarian fund has supported over 125,000 families with food aid. Amnesty International Executive Director Kenya Irungu Houghton noted that despite a ceasefire negotiated by Donald Trump, damage in Gaza as a result of Israeli strike remains immense, with vast areas barren and livelihoods destroyed. The leaders call for global food and rebuilding support, urging continued compassion and unity for the people of Gaza and Palestine.
It's not a question of what is the creed, what is the race, it's a question of justice. We are asking the people of Kenya to join the struggle to liberate these people, just like we stood up to liberate South Africa.
It is essentially a Thanksgiving celebration. So much has been offered, particularly at a time when Kenyans have been struggling with the high cost of living, with excessive taxes. It is just amazing and encouraging that Kenyans have found resources to give to the people of Gaza.
The Jipange na View Sasa caravan, which has been in the Mount Kenya region, proceeded to Embu County today. The caravan traversed Embu and its environs with hundreds of excited residents turning up in their numbers at different stopovers to meet their favorite presenters from Wimwaro and Inoro FM. The fans were treated to thrilling performances from popular local artists including Joyce Wamama, Warugiko, Sharon Mtoto wa Mama, among others. Presenters from Wimaro FM and View Sasa production manager presented a check of 50,000 to the daily winner at Ishiara. The team encouraged fans to subscribe to View Sasa content for only 50 shillings or 99 shillings and stand a chance to win big prizes.
Shillings, and we are very excited. The other thing that we are also doing here is to meet our subscribers that we are really enjoying to meet, and we've also met quite a number of content producers who have given us content, and they've also given us ideas that we will work with and work with them together to produce content.
Nilifurahia sana kabisa, nikafurahi hata Isiara wote na mpaka kuweka stima kwa nyumba.
Coming up, a 3-star goal against the Posta Rangers as the Brewers drown Moranga Seals. Time for sports on Sunday Live. So let's play. Tusker Football Club finally got their season rolling, registering their first win of the 2025-6 campaign with a hard-fought 1-0 victory over Muranga Seal at the Muranga Stadium. Meanwhile, at the Nyayo National Stadium, emotions ran high as Gor Mahia honored their late-fallen patron Raila Amolo Odinga with a dominant 3-0 win over Posta Rangers. Ben Stanley Omondi opened the scoring in the 58th minute before Austin Odhiambo doubled the lead in the 72nd minute. Felix Oluoch sealed the victory deep into added time, lifting Gor into third place in the league standings. In other action, Shabana FC suffered a 1-0 defeat to Mathare United in front of their home fans at the Gusii Stadium in Kisii County.
Anasema finally, thank you Lord, asante, anashukuru Mungu. Alichokifanya Fredrick Otinda anajua mwenyewe, lakini hatimaye oza 8. Felix Oluoch Mboya amemzidi kwa kasi sasa. Felix Mboya, nafasi kwake Mboya. Alisajiliwa kwa ajili ya kufunga, na ndicho anachokifanya. Anavishwa tena kofia ya baba. He must be smiling up there. Lazima anatabasamu kama anaitazama baba.
Undoubted that the late former Prime Minister's influence transcended different fields, including in sports, as you can see there, Gor Mahia dedicating that win to our former Prime Minister. Bernard Chepkwony and Helen Chepkorir claimed top honors in the men's and women's full marathon categories during the 22nd edition of the Standard Chartered Nairobi Marathon held on Sunday. Chepkwony stormed to victory in a time of 2 hours, 11 minutes and 1 second, marking a remarkable comeback on home soil. Alex Saikwo crossed the line second, with Ezekiel Omulo Kemboi finishing third. In the women's race, debutant Ellen Chepkorir stand a strong field to win the first ever 42-kilometer marathon, clocking 2 hours, 27 minutes and 17 seconds. Naomi Chepkorir finished second, while Scholastica Jepkemboi claimed the third place. Joshua Getoko claimed the men's 21-kilometer race, while Karen Wainaina clinched the women's crown.
Have trust in us. I mean, it takes a lot to put this event together, but if people don't show up, then you don't have an event. So I think it gives us a lot of trust, and also shows that as Kenya and as the home of marathon running, that we can actually create something very big.
The reason why we're here today to support the races is because we understand there's a growing culture around running. We want to tap into the fact that more people want to live a healthier lifestyle. Our two brands allow us to tap into that community, enabling us to work with them and grow our ability to support them as they take up healthier alternatives to what we have in the market.
This marathon has become a very strategic tourism asset because it brings visitors from out of the country. When they are here, they are able to see the products we have in Kenya. They stay a little longer, and that